Hello, beautiful beings. This video is kind of inspired by a dialogue that's been happening on my TikTok platform. I made a video about how saying that something is impolite, immature, rude is a form of emotional abuse. And that when people use that language, I usually keep them out of my life or invite them into a more intimate dialogue of what's going on with them. And I got a lot of responses about abuse and what do you do with an abuser and children, and kind of it felt like an attack. And I felt really misheard, misunderstood, and it like woke up this fire in me that I'd like to share the flames of on this video on YouTube in more depth. So I did use the word emotional abuse. So I brought in the word abuse, and then I was invited into a dialogue about what to do with abusers. Like, how can you deal with an abuser if you don't say they're inappropriate? And, well, how do I keep my child safe if they can't use that language? Well, how do I keep my child from being an abuser if I don't tell them that's inappropriate? And so what I'm experiencing with this dialogue is people being reactive from their mind, and I noticed how much trigger there is in this dialogue and that it needs to be talked about. And so I'm not sure if this happens in other regions. It's really strong in America, though. I haven't lived in America all my life, but I have experienced this subtle control mechanism that people have over each other, this domestication of one another, and this politeness that really feels painful in my body when I'm around. I feel excruciating pain when I'm at a gathering, at a tea shop, in a dialogue with someone that is being overly polite or overly nice. It hurts me in my body because I'm very empathic and sensitive, and so I naturally start moving and sounding in order to move the energy. Now, the interesting thing is that the whole theme that I'm witnessing a lot is be authentic, be authentic. And the blind spot of this is that now authenticity has like a certain vibe to it. Like, this is what acting authentic looks like. And it's a whole nother layer of superficial stuckness. And I feel what's webbing that in, what's calcifying people's authentic expression is this subtle form of emotional abuse toward each other. Why is it emotionally abusive? Well, if a person is caught in not being able to argue with someone, saying that they're being inappropriate or being rude or being inconsiderate, if that's like the ultimate thing when you tell somebody that, then there's no way room for them to be and learn their authentic, raw, naked expression and what that looks like as they come out of this brainwashed, controlled slave system. If there's no leeway for them to learn how to do that with people and not only in isolation, then when somebody says to you, oh, that's inappropriate, that's impolite, no, it's not the right time to go to the bathroom now, that is emotional abuse. You're abusing someone's emotions based off this mind game of some matrix that's falling apart. And so that's why I use the term emotional abuse, because to me, that feels abusive when a person uses this ultimatum word. I don't even know how to describe these ways that people dialogue with each other in order to be like, I said that's inappropriate, I said that's rude, so I'm going to tell them that you were rude and therefore we're right and you're wrong. And people brought up like, well, there's a reality, there's an objective reality. And so what I'm experiencing in this dialogue that's alive is a lot of mind and these mind games and a dissociation from the actual body. The actual body in our human form is unique, it's imperfect, it's in a way unpredictable. And Bella's getting really angry because her ball is stuck in the couch. Hold on. A little playfulness reminder. So this is the reason I say that these terms are emotionally abusive. When I hear someone saying about someone, I don't even hear these things a lot in my reality anymore. I just see it being thrown around casually. And the first thing I feel is like abuse, emotional abuse. They're being emotionally abusive to the other person. And they're embodying this like altruistic state of who knows what. And so people brought up abusers, right? Like how do people navigate abuse if they can't say something is inappropriate? I want my child to be safe and to tell me, mommy, something inappropriate happened. And so it was brought, this topic, into a really extreme case scenario. And I was being called dangerous for speaking and saying what I was speaking. And I'm talking about like, wait, how did the child get into a situation where they're with an abuser? The issue begins because the child has been trained to be outside of their authentic expression in their body. They've been domesticated into a system that dissociates them from their body, into this be a good kid, be a good kid. And that's how they get into situations of abuse, because they're not in their body and they're focused on being a good kid, a polite kid that cannot be rude, that cannot rebel, and therefore they innocently fall into situations where, I'm going to be nice. And so if you really want to protect your child, the number one way to do that is to get curious with them about their emotions, the energy moving through them. I've been a lot around like 9-year-old boys, 10-year-old boys in the past few years. Not a lot. I want to be more around 9 and 10-year-old boys. And I notice a pattern where sometimes innocently parents just want, their child to survive, to be okay in the world. And the parents are dealing with supporting the child and supporting themselves and surviving the system. So I have a lot of compassion for this, a lot of compassion. But it needs to be talked about, because 9 and 10-year-old boys are a number one example of a child beginning potentially to be bad, rebellious, dark, abusive, or like whatever. And that's when the parent could project on the child that they're a bad boy. And now the child is like, okay, I'm a bad boy. I might as well own the label. I'm that bad boy. But again and again, I find and have found that when the boy has a space for his energy and his emotions and what he is seeing to be relevant, they soften. And a way to do this, as an example, if a boy is like being rude, right? You're finding that the 9-year-old boy is being rude, is like, wait, maybe me saying they're rude, which is emotional abuse. Oh, be kind to others, which is emotional abuse. Be nice, emotional abuse. You're gaslighting the child into getting into their head, into some phantom reality. It's not even real. What is this mind-based? What does kind feel like? What does nice feel like? What does appropriate feel like? It's like not a feeling, it's not an energy, it's a mind conception based on how we see each other or how others see us. Can you see the distortion in this? It makes me want to like roar. And so I don't need to take breaks in this video. I just need to like let it out and speak it while the fire is alive, because I know this will pass and other topics will come alive. But when I've been around boys and they're like, they have that thing of like, yeah, I'm the bad boy. You wanna mess with me? And then I get curious. I'm like, well, you just they think you did something rude, but I'm actually curious what you're speaking about. Are you sensing that there's something inauthentic here? What do you feel needs to happen in this environment right now? And they start like feeling hurt and being like, wait, why are you not fighting me? And I'm like, well, I'm curious about what you're experiencing. And when they really realize that I'm actually curious and I'm not trying to manipulate them into being on my side or making them believe something I believe, they start opening up like a flower and being like, well, that felt like untrue. That felt like a lie. And not only that, when they start doing like rebellious things like kicking or breaking something, I'm like, oh, they feel a stuck energy in the adults around them. They need to be kicking, ripping, breaking. Hey, I need that too. I'm on your team. Can you guide me? Let's find something to break. Let's find something to kick. Let's find something to rip. And that destructive energy, as an example for a 9 or 10-year-old boy, becomes creative energy. Destruction is a part of creation. Destruction is a step of creation. When we create something, we're destroying something. When we use a colored crayon, we're destroying the crayon to create. And so, Bella's really getting wild, my pup. She hid the ball again. Hold on. What are you doing? Stop putting it there. Okay. Is this beginning to make sense? I have to burp. Energy moving. So when people started saying that I'm dangerous for kids on TikTok, I was like, oh my God, no, like actually, if they think I'm dangerous, what I'm saying for kids, I'm like, whoa, there are so many adults emotionally abusing their own children. Innocently. I'm sure it is innocent, but these topics really need to begin being talked about more. Think of how you were brought up in school and domesticated and trained not to be in your body, not to feel your feelings, how to survive and fit in as a subservient slave. Slave meaning your power is outside you, you serve a power outside you, whatever that is. The appropriate way, the nice way, the polite way. This is subtle emotional abuse. And we're subtly controlling one another to support a system that represses our authentic, imperfect expression, which leads to disease, which leads to needing medication, which leads to the body being misaligned because we're not even moving in our unique, authentic way. And so there are distortions, there are misalignments, and therefore, what happens? We give it all back to a system that is making buck off us, that funds the schools, that funds all the things, all the layers, all the footage that create war, all the disembodied moments that we're not in our body because we feel unsafe to be our authentic selves. We start getting addicted to media that creates war, that creates, oh, let's raise money for things that are not even in front of us, and then we become part of this nightmare machine of souls being recycled again and again and again. A zombie movement. And nothing else is going to wake us up out of this nightmare other than the fire within us, the rage, the core rage in our core, that animal root chakra energy, that sacral energy, that sexual snake, that life, that fire that burns away what no longer serves life and reignites the light from the ashes. Nothing else is going to create a change unless you feel that rage for seeing things as they are. And I'm saying this with compassion. I am literally in it. My body was totally distorted last week because I was afraid to feel emotions. I thought I might need a lot of help with my body, let's just say. And my body started realigning because I felt the depth of the pain with support of others, of how I do not want to live this life anymore, meaning I do not consent to what people have told me life is. And as I let those parts of me die and I felt the depth of the pain and went into a deep rest, depressed state, a deep rest state, I started seeing clearly again. I'm like, whoa, I fell asleep into a machine again. This isn't the first time I'm seeing clearly. And it's a tricky slope. It's like, start speaking the truth, start being magnetic in my female body manifestation. And then it's like, there are all these offerings, all these like benefits. And before you know it, your calcified ego structure in the name of spiritual healing or whatever. Guilty, I did that. And I forgive myself. And I have compassion for myself. Because this is a slippery, weird game. But I can feel deeply in my body that it ain't gonna happen again over my dead body. Dead previous body. Because we're eternally rebirthing. We're becoming matter and non-matter, nothing and everything, again and again and again and again. And I just would love this video to take you out of any hypnosis that you might be in that may be causing your body, your soul, any suffering that is unnecessary. Yes, there is pain in life. Yes, there is suffering that is part of our evolution, but sometimes the necessary suffering and pain is meant to shed and destroy unnecessary suffering that is so subtle. It is so freaking subtle. And so I don't really want to present solutions. I just want to call out the bullshit in this emotional abuse toward one another. And I am in the USA right now. I don't know how much longer I'll be here. I did come back to remember like what needs to be changed, what people need help with, and I'm about done with the United States. But this is like a #1 problem that I am seeing over and over, traveling in different locations and just feeling how people are just stuck, disembodied, like machines, operating based off, oh, so I could survive, oh, so I could be a good person, and then doing it to their children, and the child is like, oh, I just want to scream, and it's like, oh, don't do that. The child needs to scream with your child. The child needs to break with your child. The child wants to destroy with your child. The children are the future, not you. The children are our future, not us. The children are closer to source and more tapped into innocence and have been less programmed than we did. Follow their lead. Because if you don't, you're going to repress them, they're going to be disembodied, and then eventually they're going to be medicated. Again and again and again and again. And there you go, another zombie. And there you go, another slave. And there you go, another unplugged soul from Creator, feeding some power that's invisible outside them. And then we deal with these distortions of like, oh, like talking about countries we're not even in, that we don't even know anything about. If you're not in the problem, seeing it right in front of your face, do not feed problems that you see on screens. If you're watching this video and this problem is in your life, you can see how you repress your authenticity, your imperfection. Maybe you don't fart when you want to fart. Maybe you don't burp when you want to burp. Maybe you don't scream when you want to scream. Maybe you don't cry. Maybe you forgot what it's like to cry. Maybe you forgot what it's like to sing. Maybe you can only dance when you're in a dance class. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry that we've been in this. But we need to call out the bullshit first. Acknowledging what's stealing our life force is the #1 big, massive step. Solutions will come. Solutions will arrive just from being nothing, from being an empty space. Nature guides us. Source guides us. But we need to fall apart and see the bullshit rather than identifying with it. Why? For who? For the children. And so if you catch yourself or you catch another telling you that you're inappropriate, that you're rude, that you're immature, all these Maya delusions, so you want to be seen as a good person programs, stop it. Stay away from that. Because why? It's easy to not do that. It's easy to instead say, I feel unsafe. I'm going to go calm my nervous system. If you're in an abusive state, you can just leave or say like, oh, I feel unsafe. I need to leave. Rather than educating an abuser and saying, you're being inappropriate. No, walk the hell out. Go to a park. Scream. Ask God, Creator, how did I get here? How do I get out of this? Why do we need to educate abusers? Why do we need to tame our children from their core animalistic power of being in their body to feed a slave machine? Why? So we can work on it for the rest of our lives and heal? When truth is accessed, it's instantaneous. Instantaneous healing. Instantaneous healing. And I forgive all parts of me that have had amnesia. It's very easy to slip into amnesia and into the Maya, into the dream. Life is a dream. All of it is a dream. And that's been my weak spot of like, what? It's all a dream? So the darkness I'm seeing is like me? I'm creating it because I'm creator? No. A couch is a couch. Yes, it's made of nothing, but it's still a freaking couch right now. And so let's call out this bullshit as bullshit. Instantaneous healing is truth. You need to see clearly, without guilt, without shame, with instantaneous self-forgiveness and ridiculous self-compassion and limitless patience. Being greedy with self-love